All right, good evening, everyone. I think we'll try and get started here. So good evening, everyone who's joining us to the monthly council meeting of July 15th, 2024 here in the city of Summerside. I will call the meeting to order here at 6:30 p.m. Begin by calling for a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Councillor Adams, second. Councillor Snow, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed or changes? Hearing none, we'll carry on with the agenda as presented. We begin each one of our meetings by acknowledging the land upon which we gather is the unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Abogoi is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. At this moment, I'll ask any member of council to declare a conflict of interest with respect to any item on the agenda before you this evening. Hearing none. We will proceed. Item 2, approval of the following minutes has become my path lately. I'm going to try and group them together. So I'll start with the planning board minutes. I know Councillor Duran is trying to join us later. He is in a firefighters meeting at the same time, so he is across the street. If he joins us, then that would be great. But for members of the public who are joining here and virtually, the planning board consists of Councillor Morrison, Councillor Snow, Councillor Duran, who is absent, and myself. So with respect to the June 17th, 2024 planning board meeting minutes, the July 2nd, 2024 planning board meeting minutes, and the July 9th, 2024 planning board meeting minutes, I'd call for a motion from a member of planning board to adopt the minutes as presented. Councillor Snow, second. Councillor Morrison, all members of planning board in favor of adopting the minutes as presented, please indicate by saying aye. 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 Any opposed? And one absent. The minutes are adopted. Next, for all of council, with respect to the June 17, 2024 in-camera meeting, the June 17, 2024 monthly council meeting, the June 19th, 2024 special council meeting, the July 2nd committee of the whole meeting, and the July 2nd, 2024 special council meeting, and the July 9th, 2024 special council meeting. I will call for a motion from a member of council to adopt the minutes as presented in your package. Councillor McColman, second. Councillor Adams. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed or changes? Hearing none, all of the aforementioned meeting minutes are adopted. Great, we're ticking right along. It's July, so we're going to try and get out of here while the sun is still up and the ice cream shop is still open. At this point, I would open the floor to any member of council with respect to any accolades and recognitions in and about the community since our last meeting. Councillor McDougall.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd just like to congratulate and thank all the organizers of our Canada Day and Lobster Carnival activities that just happened. The Canada Day, I was talking to people today and they were going on about the Canada Day festivities, and I was over at the Lobster Carnival grounds a number of times and even showed the mayor how to open a lobster claw, but anyway, I just think they did a terrific job, and I just wanted to pass on those accolades.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. He showed me how to open the lobster claw with his foot.
I know.
Thank you, Councillor McColman, who was there as a
And
witness.
he's not telling us that he was standing out in the rain when they were doing the lobster trap contest. We were all there.
Thank you, council and councillors. It has been certainly a busy week here in the city of Summerside. At this point, we move into public presentations, petitions, and delegations, and we have two here this evening, and they fit together incredibly well. First, I'd like to welcome to City of Summerside Town Hall, Elsie Richmond. Elsie is with Federation of Canadian Municipalities and presented the presentation in front of you here towards net zero and resilient communities. Some of the insight into the Green Municipal Fund at the Atlantic Mayors Congress. I was sitting with Councillor McDougall, and probably halfway through the presentation, he leaned over and said, we need to do this here for all of City Council. So without further ado, Elsie, I'll hand it over to you, and you can take us through the presentation.
Wonderful. I'm assuming you can all hear me well. Okay, so my name is Elsie, and I'm a funding officer with our Green Municipal Fund, specifically with the Growing Canada's Community Canopies, or GCCC, which is an offer that I will talk about today. Stop me if you have any questions, and I'll also take questions at the end. All right, so the Green Municipal Fund is FCM's biggest program. It is a now $2.4 billion program and is funded by the Government of Canada. Our unique mix of funding and capacity building delivers clear environmental, economic, and social impacts with the goal of creating better lives for people in Canada. GMF was established in 2000, and since then, GMF has made many innovative municipal projects possible. And that's not all. It also has allowed for the sharing of lessons learned across Canada and the creation of much needed resources and provided a spotlight for new environmental solutions. Our funding and resources are available to all municipalities, big and small, and their partners in all provinces and territories. So here are some key results since GMF was first created in 2000. There's been 2.87 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions avoided, 2,100 plus projects approved, and 1.45 billion worth of approved projects. If we look at GMF in the Atlantic provinces, since 2000, we've approved 213 projects that account for 15% of total approved funding. And we're hoping that the trend continues in the upcoming years, especially with our new resilience and climate adaptation offers. So I'm going to provide an overview right now of 3 GMF initiatives. And in the last 24 years, GMF has grown quite a bit. First, we have revamped our traditional offer, which is net zero and multi-solving. This was updated in February based on new GMF priorities and a new strategic plan. The application intake for this offer is ongoing. Second, with the 2019 investment from the federal government, we were able to develop the energy efficiency initiatives. These initiatives are at their midlife point and should conclude in the next few years. And lastly, we just launched our 2 new initiatives under resilience and climate adaptation. I'll talk about those 2 in a few slides. So looking at net zero and multi-solving, which is our new form of our traditional offer. So things have changed with GMF because we want to make it easier for applicants to streamline their projects. As a result, one of the key elements of our new offer is that we're looking for multi-solving projects. So that means projects that provide a multitude of benefits that are environmental, economic, and social. So for example, if we're looking at one project like a community building retrofit, we can look at the environmental benefits such as reducing energy use, but what other aspects can we incorporate to make it multi-solving? What about reducing potable water consumption, considering accessibility, incorporating inclusive employment or learning opportunities, or improving outdoor spaces by planting trees or gardens? All projects will also be assessed on how they are integrating considerations related to sustainable materials management, such as reducing embodied carbon in its materials, using recycled components, or demonstrating circularity. In terms of social benefits, this new offer will evaluate whether projects are practicing social procurement and incorporating anti-racism, equity, inclusion, and reconciliation principles. We are looking for projects that take into consideration as many of these elements as possible, but your project can still be eligible if you are just getting started in some of these areas, and your project only incorporates a few of them. If you're still in the planning phases of your capital project, or just at the beginning to scope your feasibility study, this is a great time to incorporate these considerations into your project design. So between the sustainable municipal buildings and the community buildings retrofit, we can fund both the new construction and retrofit of municipal buildings and community buildings. As a note, GMF considers municipal buildings to be buildings owned by municipalities and primarily used for administrative or service staff. So for example, this could be a city hall, fire hall, public works facilities, and more. A community building is an enclosed public space primarily used to deliver athletic, recreational, cultural, and community programs and services. So this could be an arena, an indoor pool, or a library, and it doesn't have to be owned by the municipality necessarily. For deep retrofits, you're strongly encouraged to consider a portfolio of municipal buildings and consider parallel interventions in these buildings. And there's two offers under the local energy generation. So first we have the community energy system offer, and this supports first recovered or renewable thermal energy in new or existing facilities, and second, 100% renewable electricity generation projects that are able to power multiple systems and buildings. The organic waste to energy offer helps communities reduce greenhouse gas emissions by generating energy from landfill gas or anaerobic digestion, or anaerobic composting with heat recovery of local organic waste. For both initiatives, we have 3 funding offers available. So business cases, which lay the groundwork for feasibility studies by assessing viable community projects, and then feasibility studies, which further identify and design the ideal system. And lastly, we fund the capital projects of the construction of community energy systems or organic waste energy systems. Municipal fleet electrification. So this offer supports the transition of municipal and transit fleets to zero-emission vehicles that have the potential to produce no tailpipe emissions. So this can include battery electric, plug-in hybrid electric, or hydrogen fuel cell vehicles only if hydrogen is low carbon. In terms of capital projects here, in terms of capital projects, we'll finance the complete or partial transition of municipal and/or transit fleets to zero-emission vehicles. And just want to note here that eligible costs include the purchase of charging stations as well as the retrofit needed to put in the charging stations. So Net Zero Transformation, which is our new signature program. We want to support and de-risk very ambitious projects, and this is why for this offer we fund feasibility, capital, and pilots. The new component to this revamped offer is that we're looking at GHG reductions. Net Zero Transformation initiatives include eligibility under this offer for projects characteristics, not preset environmental targets or thresholds. So this is what we consider something where you have a project and you're not sure if it's going to work out or not, and we want to de-risk that and look at the project characteristics rather than the projected benefits of the project. And to be eligible for funding under this offer, projects have to be innovative, have a high likelihood of being replicated, and have a significant greenhouse gas reduction potential. This table provides a breakdown of the funding, grants, and loans available by project type. For that breakdown of what types of offers have access to grants versus loans, think about it as if we are helping you get ready for a capital project with the grants. And then when it comes to implementing that capital project, we have competitive financing available through grants, as well as through loans, as well as a portion of grants. So for a capital project, we have access to up to 15 to 20% of grants. And this percentage of grant is determined by the loan amount requested. And just as a note, plan and pilots are only available for net zero transformation projects, and we're offering more money to studies than we were before in our previous offer. The funding breakdown of all of the offers are definitely something that I would recommend reaching out to GMF for, because we can look at your specific project and then discuss the possibilities within that project. energy efficiency initiatives. So we have two programs under energy efficiency initiatives. First, our Sustainable Affordable Housing Initiative supports local affordable housing providers. So this includes municipals, not-for-profit, and housing co-ops. The support is available to help retrofit existing affordable housing units or construct new energy efficient builds that emit lower GHG emissions. The Sustainable Affordable Housing, or SAW program, can support your project with funding at key project planning stages. So that is planning, and then moving on to a study, a retrofit capital project, and then your new build capital project. Also, because this area can get quite technical, we offer support from regional energy coaches. So CEF, the Community Efficiency Funding, is thought of as a program of programs, in that it supports municipalities to establish or expand innovative financing programs that support homeowners in making energy improvements to their homes. So this includes the Property Assessed Clean Energy, or PACE, utility on-bill financing, and third-party lending partnerships. So these are just some examples of financing models used by municipalities delivering residential energy programming. And this is also a program that we've seen great uptake for in the Atlantic region. So lastly, we're going to speak about the resilience and climate adaptation offers. And this is our newest offer under our new climate adaptation model. So under resilience and climate adaptation, we have two offers. So first, the Growing Canada's Community Canopies, which I'm a funding officer for, and it's called GCCC for short. And then Local Leadership for Climate Adaptation, or LLCA. And these are very exciting new programs because we offer grants exclusively for the programs rather than offering loans. So GCCC is investments in planting trees that will provide nature-based solutions to combat the impacts of climate change. So trees help by preventing flooding, providing erosion control, promoting biodiversity, and supporting general human well-being. Our goal is to plant 1.2 million trees by the year 2031. GMF's GCCC program funds will plant the right type of tree in the right location so that communities across Canada can grow, manage, and protect their tree canopies. We had our first funding call close on Friday of last week, and we had a really great uptake with it. And I have a lot of hope for the kind of projects that are going to come out of the next, 7 years. And that's a program where I have a lot more knowledge about if you want specific questions. But so the planting funding table, as shown on the screen, will be available in two intake periods. So the first period closed July 12th, and that was for spring 2025 planting. The second ends on October 15th for fall 2025 planting. Lastly, in winter 2025, we'll be launching the strategic funding grants, which entails urban forest planning, research, operational support, and growing the capacity of communities to define their canopy expansion goals and to strategically manage their community canopies. This offer of strategic grants is still being developed, and so we welcome any feedback on funding that you think could help your community. It's also worth mentioning that we've partnered with Tree Canada to ensure that local governments have access to key expertise and information that informs best planting practices, tree species selection, and site selection, as well as procurement. Tree Canada coaches provide free technical support to communities of all sizes to help during the application phase and project implementation phase. So next, we're going on to the Local Leadership for Climate Adaptation, or LLCA. LLCA will support more than 1,400 municipal projects across Canada by 2033, with support provided across 3 different initiatives. So earlier this month, we just launched the Adaptation in Action, which supports municipalities to move adaptation priorities from plans to action, actively managing climate risk. Later in the year, we will be launching climate-ready plans and processes, which will help modify existing municipal plans, processes, and management systems to embed climate adaptation into municipal decision-making, which will help build long-term resilience. The third offer that we'll be launching next year is financing adaptation, which aims to attract greater private sector participation in adaptation financing. Also, it's worth noting that when it comes to implementation projects, that we can fund 60% or higher of eligible costs. So different projects may qualify for a higher grant for eligible costs, and this can go up to 100%. So we offer 10% of additional eligible costs for applicants that are Indigenous communities, local governments applying in partnership with an Indigenous community, or for projects that include 2 or more municipal governments, and then additional 10% for applicants that are rural and or remote communities and municipalities with populations below 10,000. And then another additional 10% for projects that meaningfully address anti-racism, equity, and reconciliation. And then an additional 10% for projects that emphasize nature-positive adaptation. So within LCA, you potentially could have 100% of your eligible costs funded. So our team is here to help you along every step of the way, from just coming up with your project to actually implementing it. So we have an outreach team, which usually would be doing a presentation like this, but I live in Charlottetown, so it was a nice drive up here to come give you the presentation, and I got ice cream, which of course was always nice. And then we have the funding team. So that's the team that I belong to, where once you submit your full application, we help review it. We provide some feedback on potentially what could make it better or areas that could be improved or enhanced. And then that full application goes on to a peer review team, which are specialists and experts in whatever field you applied to, that will give us a score on your project and help make a recommendation to the GMF Council. We also have a whole host of resources available. So we have case studies available on our website where you can find similar sized communities potentially implementing a project that you're looking to implement, so you can have some lessons learned. We have events and training in the form of in-person training as well as webinars and courses. And then we also have a project database where you can go and look at all of the projects that have been funded through GMF across Canada. So there's, I think, just taking a look at the resources available will help you better understand what potentially you could do. And I also want to mention that for the program I work for, GCCC, we will be having a webinar on July 25th, and that will talk about the business case for planting trees. So looking at the health benefits that tree planting provides, as well as other economic benefits. And there's always webinars coming up from our capacity development team, so definitely worth keeping track of. Now, this has been a lot of information today, and so what really sets FCM and GMF apart is that we are here actually to talk you through any ideas that you have and help you with the pre-application phase, so determining if your project is eligible and then moving on to that full application phase. So connect with us and we can start a conversation about what kind of projects you're looking to implement. I also want to mention that these new projects, so the GCCC and LLCA, are very competitive programs, and so I highly recommend you get in your pre-application and full application for October 15th impact. Our October 15th deadline to make the biggest impact. So I'm happy to take questions on GCCC specifically or other programs. I can also point you towards some of our outreach staff that are more knowledgeable about their specific program. But I will do my best, and yeah, thank you very much for having me today, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you, Elsie. That was great. and I think it was good for, hopefully it was useful for everyone to get there's a lot there. And each time you go through another initiative, I'm kind of curious, how does the funding work for that and how does it work for this? I'll start with one general question. In terms of the best way for us to follow up, is it to have senior staff sit down? We have a bunch of different projects that may or may not fit in a variety of different funding streams. Should we connect with certain folks at GMF to go through, here's what our projects are, here may be some opportunities for us to make it fit?
I would recommend sending an email to our general gmfinfo@fcm.ca email and laying out your projects. And then our lovely outreach staff will go through and connect you to the specific teams. Yeah. So it's just as easy as that. And we will do that work of finding the right person to talk to, because there's some projects that might fall under multiple streams, or depending on what the project is, you could access a different program to have enhanced funding.
I don't have a question. I'll say I just want to thank you for coming in this evening and making this presentation. As the mayor had stated, we had seen this presentation at the Atlantic Mayors Congress, and we said we need to have all our staff see this and appreciate it. Summerside has been a long-time partner with GMF on a number of projects through the city, and we really appreciate what GMF does. So I'm sure that the staff will be going through this with a fine-tooth comb, so that because we're always doing that. So thanks a lot.
No problem.
Elsie, you did a great job giving a lot of information to us. I'm just wondering, when you mentioned, say, for example, municipal buildings, fire halls, whatnot, would you be at liberty to just even say, have there ever been applications that have gone in on some of these types of buildings?
Yes, honestly, if you can think of it, it's gone through. Potentially not necessarily funded, but it can still be considered an eligible project. And I think a lot of the time, if you come to us with an example of a building that maybe we haven't typically looked at before, we are definitely open to exploring that, because yeah, that could be an area that we need to look further into. So yeah, it's always worth bringing the conversation to us.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions from council? No? That's great. Well, thank you very much, Elsie. Really appreciate you taking the time, and thanks for making the drive and making that presentation for us. It was really helpful, and it was great to do it in person as opposed to having someone Skype or Zoom or whatever we're using today, Teams in on a screen. So I really appreciate you taking that time.
No
Thank
problem.
you. Yeah. Great. Thanks very much. Awesome. So we'll move into our next presentation with his Mike Thususka, our GHG presentation, which kind of follows on some of this. So I think they fit well together. So come on up, Mike, and you guys can turn over the computers and figure it out.
Okay, so thank you. So I'm here to present kind of the findings of a GHG emissions report that we commissioned, our department commissioned late last fall, and summarizing the report I'm going to give to you guys tonight, which is a nice follow-on to the GMF, as we've utilized that program quite extensively, and I think based on what Elsie was saying, we could really up our percentage in Summerside for sure with some of our opportunities. So this was a dual project that we commissioned. So we did an economic development clean tech strategy. I guess from our perspective, we've been in the clean tech business over 20 years now. And one of the things that we've been trying to rationalize or understand is how well are we doing, and where do we need to improve? And so that's part of what this study did. This study also built a model for us, so there's actually an Excel model that we can use moving forward as we continue to refine and track and improve in what we're doing. So one of the first messages out of the gate from our perspective was, how much GHG per person in Summerside are we creating? And that was really important to us to understand, because if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And that was critically important as part of the study. So Summerside actually is punching once again above its weight nationally as well as provincially. So if you look on average, we emit 2.7 tons of CO2 per person per year, as compared to 10 provincially and 17 nationally. So all in all, we're doing well, but there's certainly lots of areas for improvement. And I think this is just an important step to suggest that some of our investments that we've made, some of the things that we've done as a municipality have really started to pay off, but there's still lots of opportunity to move forward with. So real question was, as part of this report, we had to establish a base year. The base year for the study was 2022. And as we move forward, we may end up changing that base year, but you got to start somewhere. So this is what we ended up determining as the best year, which I think was post-COVID, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, it kind of identified where are we actually emitting our CO2 from. So obviously, fuel, transportation is an emitter. Land use, you'll see a negative there. Elsie was talking quite a bit about tree canopies and planting. The work that we've done as a municipality to preserve our green spaces and invest in trees and the like has actually been a positive impact to our GHG emissions. So it's actually taken about 1,000 tons of CO2 out of the atmosphere. Wastewater, electricity. Now you got to remember this is pre-Sunbank, so the number looks a little high. We are still high as a municipality, because as you go into the primary, secondary, and tertiary data, electricity will still continue to be high because we are importing electricity from carbon-emitting resources, so that actually counts against us. But overall, with our investments in renewables, we are certainly mitigating and managing that very well, and hopefully with some of the other projects we got in the hopper, we'll continue to do that. And then household waste, household and business waste, again, as expected, I think, when you look at the national averages. So obviously, how is Summerside leading on its reduction pathway? Obviously, our investments in renewables has done a yeoman job. Had we not made those investments, our GHG count would have been a lot higher, because our utility would be contributing a lot more from a GHG perspective. And while we've been doing really well on the utility scale, we need to get back or move our focus a little bit from utility scale into, I'll call it, the built environment and the distributed environment, where we try and encourage residents and businesses to manage and mitigate their GHG. So, and again, I'm summarizing kind of the study, which I believe is still on our website. But one of the things we ask consultants is, based on their experience with us in conducting this study, where do we need to improve as a municipality? So this data takes in the whole collection of Summerside, not just the municipality. So it looked at all the things in our ecosystem that creates carbon emissions. A number of areas that came up were accurate data collection. We really struggled with collecting the data. And if we're going to continue to move this initiative forward, which I believe as a municipality we wish to, we need to find better ways to collect data, because collecting data, not only primary data from our own organization, but secondary data, i.e. Waste Watch, i.e. fuel deliveries, i.e. amount of electricity used by other businesses. We need to have better systems in place to collect that data. Waste data streams, obviously we do not control household waste collection. Island Waste Management does. We need to develop a better collaboration with them if we're going to continue to move forward on collecting critical data on household waste, as an example, which obviously contributes to landfills, greenhouse gas emissions, as was mentioned earlier. Reporting frequency targets. So again, There's some data that we collected throughout the study that is regularly reported and some that's not regularly reported. And again, given the size of our jurisdiction, some data sources are hard to tackle, but there is opportunities for improvement within our organization to increase the frequency to which we track and share data. Another area that requires, and I guess it's kind of passionate to me, is you develop all these reports, these strategies, these plans, and then we throw them on a shelf. I think it's important for us as a municipality as we continue to be out in the market suggesting to companies that we are a leader in the clean tech space, come to Summerside, invest in Summerside, or businesses and residents invest in GHG reduction pathways, that we need to develop a plan and set targets and make sure that we're educating and working on kind of making sure that we live up to what we say we're doing, which is being a clean tech leader. And then there was the requirement or a suggestion through the consultants that as a municipality, we're obviously naturally responsible, if you will, to lead this process, and that we should have some sort of sustainability committee or personnel dedicated to this file, because it is a lot of work. The data collection alone, I think the Excel tab sheets, which the model is developed under, has close to 40 input tabs, so you're constantly trying to chase and share data. So GHG asked the consultants kind of next steps, and a couple of things that there is an error in that slide. It says confirmed 2019 as the base year. It's actually 2022 is the base year. So what they had suggested is, as we move forward as a municipality, just ensure that that base year is accurate. And there are times that, 5 years from now, you may adjust the base year because of certain situations change. Obviously, primary data collection, regular survey audits, interdepartmental coordination and training is a key. One of the things we noticed throughout this study, and it's not kind of shining a light on anybody in particular, it's just suggesting that we do a lot of things in silos and we don't necessarily think that as I'm filling up my gas and I'm creating receipts from a municipal truck, that I should be reporting that somehow into a GHG spreadsheet, because it just doesn't resonate. So there are little things that we can do as a municipality to just get all departments across the organization understanding the importance of our everyday activities. Review and update all the emission factors. So obviously we identified a number of emission factors from built, mobile, transport, household waste, and those sorts of things. So just make sure that we're on target. And again, we're trying to be leaders in this field, and I think we are, and we just want to make sure that we're continuing to evolve. And then update the inventory on an annualized basis. So one of the things that this report did for us was develop kind of the framework of what it is you're trying to measure, how you're trying to measure it, and why you measure it. But it also built us a tool that allows somebody to actually pick that tool up, and after a bit of training, which this group will help us do, that person can, on an annual basis, continue to collect this data and update council and the municipality on a go-forward basis. I think we're getting to the end here. But obviously, part of the outcome of this study was, well, this is great, it's done, but now we need to kind of assign responsibility for it if we're serious about it. We don't necessarily have to be, it's just a recommendation that these folks have said, shone a light on Summerside to say, hey, you guys are doing some pretty amazing stuff, and I think you should continue down that pathway. So their suggestion is you may want to consider a climate action coordinator. And the reason for that was, one of the reasons for it, aside from the data collection gaps, is trying to call 20 different people, and these issues are not top of mind for these people that are reporting the data in, collaborating with external kind of partners like Island Waste, like businesses and those sorts of things. It's important that somebody is responsible to do that on a go-forward basis. Huge need for cross-department collaboration. Again, this was the first time this type of study's ever been done. So a lot of us, I'll say department-wise, we're never thinking about it on a conscious daily basis, and I think hopefully this shines a light that we should start to do that. And then the community obviously has an impact on kind of some of the GHG impacts, and I think we need to get the community more involved in this. Again, this is the first time this study's been done. Now it's done. Let's take some of these recommendations, see if we can't move them forward.
Awesome, thanks, Mike. I'm going to open it to floor for council if anyone's got any specific questions on the report and what you presented, and then maybe we can talk about potential next steps. Any questions from anyone? Bruce?
No, not really a question. Good job, Mike. I guess you sort of answered my question when you were going through the presentation, and I seen Summerside at 2.7 and the national average at 17.7. If we just keep doing what we're doing, we should keep in that level, should we, or should we not? And a lot of it relates back to the previous presentation by GMF, so.
Yeah, I think that certainly we like to keep where we're at, but as the economy grows and our community grows, if we're not consciously thinking about
Right.
the things that we do to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, then our number will grow. And there's certain things that we, some of the initiatives that we are looking at is decarbonizing the built environment as an example. So you just want to keep on top of it, so as your economy continues to grow and diversify, that you're not, doing it the old way, which is carbon intensive. So,
Right.
Yep.
No, it's good that we heard that, but it's also good that we hear where we are.
Yeah,
It
100%.
makes us feel good, so, so thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions from council? No, Mike, again, thanks for the report. And getting AET to get the report done. Totally agree with you. You gotta be able to measure it in order to mitigate it. Certainly whenever I speak to people outside of Summerside and even inside Summerside, but we're certainly known as being a leader in the sustainability and sort of carbon reduction world, primarily through the work that our utility and the team here has done at the city of Summerside for the past 20 years. Previous mayor's councils, but staff who have brought forward fantastic projects. And I always think that you build off of what you're good at. And I think there is certainly alignment and continued alignment in terms of what we're good at and where there is potential funding from other partners to keep pushing and continue to separate us from the rest. So, so certainly we've spoken about this before, Mike. I think it's Greg has this comment, and I'm going to mess it up, but I think he always says, if it's good for the community, it's good for the economy, and it's good for the planet, then it's a good thing to do. And I think those are his checklist. But I wanted to just touch base on some of the recommendations in the report and how we go about moving forward. But there's the climate action plan, sustainability committee personnel, and then I think near the last slide there are a few. The assigning responsibility, the coordinator, cross-department collaboration, community involvement. I have just a note here, and I'm sure not all councils have the opportunity to read the full report, which it is worth reading. I think you obviously captured the highlights of it. And I And so I'd sort of put this to council, and I'm going to suggest that perhaps I can send an email around to council and see who's interested, and we can form a small 1 or 2 meeting committee to review the recommendations and then bring those forward to council as a go-forward piece. And there are obviously some of these are pretty significant, right? Developing a climate action plan, which we've spoken about. We kind of have a lot of that happening, so partly it's bringing all the pieces on the table together under the right umbrella, but there are pieces that we probably also need to bring in. And looking at things like personnel or committee to make sure as these funding opportunities come forward, we're on top of them so they can help drive some of the decision making we have here as well. So that's sort of my pitch to council, at least here, would be to, if council was okay with it, I'd sort of reach out. You don't have to decide now, to reach out, set up a couple meetings, probably with Mike, with yourself, with Kristen, and probably Greg, I think Gordon would be and yourself, or at least we can figure out who the right folks are, go through the report, consider the recommendations, talk about what those might look like, look at what costs might be associated with those, and then come forward back to council with recommendations in terms of go forward or not go forward. Certainly, I think we should be going forward, but that's for all of everyone to decide, and that would probably be, I think that would be a sensible next step if folks are okay with that. Anyone not want to do it? Okay. There's nodding heads, so. Okay, so if we're okay with that, Mike, can I maybe I'll liaise with you and we can get folks out and then see who's interested in reading the report, sitting down and going through it. And then obviously we'll come back to a full council for more robust discussion around what that might look like.
Okay, 100%.
Does that make sense? Does that work for you?
Perfect.
Okay, you're happy with that?
I'm not a GHG expert, but I'm certainly willing to lend a hand, so. What's that?
You're an expert.
Yeah, we've tried, like, this is really essential. If we're going to be a net zero community, this is this essential to doing it.
I'm out pitching, we're a clean tech community, so it goes hand in hand that we able to measure it and mitigate and implement, right? So
yeah,
it's very important.
The other thing I just pitched out while we have it here is Bruce and I got to do it again at the Atlantic Mayor's, was a tour of the new Eco Park building. It was really cool. So if we can maybe we can see if there's an opportunity where we can invite all the council through again, because it is quite interesting to go see the operations inside and where it's at.
Okay, 100%.
Okay, cool. Great. All right. Ice cream, right. Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Appointment to committees, no appointments to committees here today. Just as a quick update, we are having a by-election obviously here in the fall. In the interim, we'll sort of go week to week, but today Councillor Morrison's going to read in the Municipal Services Report. So we'll get into the introduction and reading of bylaws and resolutions, 6A, and Councillor Morrison, you're reading that one in and taking us forward, with Justin is out of the office.
Six A, 480 Central Street restricted use. Background, an application was received from Core Ventures, Inc. to allow a restricted use retail store with a consulting office and 2 tanning rooms in an apartment building. This application will require City Council approval to allow a restricted use in the high-density residential R4 zone. The application was advertised in the June 29th edition of The Guardian, and letters were mailed to property owners within 60 meters or 200 feet of the subject properties. High-density residential R4 zone. 19.1. The purpose of this zone is to provide for high-density housing in the form of apartments, as well as housing in the form of single-family, semi-detached, duplex dwellings, row house, townhouse, and other compatible uses. Permitted uses, 19.2, subject to bylaw requirements. R4 zone permitted uses, single-family dwelling, semi-detached dwelling, apartment building, assisted living, duplex dwelling, group home, row house, townhouse, nursing care facility, community care and nursing home, social service agency, boarding house, accessory building, child care facility, medium, rooming house. Discretionary uses, 19.3. Subject to council approval, R4 zone discretionary uses, tourism establishment and tourist home and inn, which also requires conditional use approval. Conditional uses, 19.4. Subject to a development officer approval, R4 zone conditional uses, home-based business, tourism establishment, B&B and vacation rental property, secondary suite. And an explanation of the process. In order to process a restricted use, the following steps are required. 1, the restricted use is read at a public meeting. Step 1 will take place this evening. 2, planning board reviews the application and prepares a recommendation to council. Step 2 takes place at planning board meeting. 3, the restricted use is read to be adopted by council. The resolution will either be carried or defeated by vote of council. And that step 3 will take place at council's second meeting. And please note that in accordance with section 5.20 of the city zoning bylaw, any person who is dissatisfied by a decision of council in respect of the administration of this bylaw may appeal council's decision within 21 days to the Island Regulatory and Appeals Commission, better known as IRAC. Comments and questions. A, the applicant is invited to make comments, Core Venture Zeke, Corey Arsenault, and B, the public is invited to make comments. The floor is open to the public for questions and comments.
Thank you, Councillor. At this point, we can welcome up any members of the public, or Corey, if he wants to. Corey, if you want to come up and give us any information on what it is you're looking to do and why you're looking for a restricted use application
Sir,
or approval.
I guess if there's any questions to start. Okay, that was pretty clear what we're looking to. I have more notes, but if there's any questions I could start with, kind of lead me in the right direction. What's your, any concerns or questions?
Or just maybe a quick overview
Sure.
of how you
Yep.
see the project. And
For sure.
Your
Yep.
explanation of what it
I'll go right to my notes. Good evening. I come here this evening to seek special permission to open a customer service-based business in one of the 8 units in my apartment complex on Central Street that is nearing completion. I'm sure you see it every day. There are currently 7 apartments that are fully rented as of today. 5 sets of seniors, widows and couples, 2 young families, 1 family moving to Summerside from Alberta to work at healthcare, which is great, Prince County, and 1 moving from Stratford to work at Holland College, which is great as well. So the unit that I'm looking for permission for is one that allows me to get back into daily customer service that I've missed since sitting here 2 years ago with you to sell Stretch Fitness and move on from that. During the pandemic, I couldn't wait to get out of the gym business because of the stress and anxiety caused by those repeated closures. But one thing I've missed over the last 2.5 years is people, seeing people, helping people, working with people. My vision for my unit, the 8th unit, as a commercial unit sees me helping those people again, interacting with the public. We have quietly made a deposit on a Simply for Life franchise. Simply for Life is a clinic and market, retail store-based business, and we're waiting on the outcome of this decision to move forward. We also have plans to offer stand-up tanning beds, expanding our tanning, retail space, nutrition, counseling, all falling under sort of the health and wellness, which has been my background for the last 30 years. Ron and I have been planning this for the last 18 months. We feel we have made and will continue to make a significant contribution to our city and its prosperity, and we look forward to answering your questions on this exciting project. Hope that, that helped, Corey, hope. Yeah, that's what we're up to. Yeah.
So my question, Corey, is just a simple one, and I think I already know the answer. So I assume you just, in your new building, which was going to be 4 apartment rentals, is you're
8.
going to take
8.
There's 8 in the new one?
8 in the new one.
Oh, is there?
Yes,
Sorry.
4 and 4, yeah.
4, so it's a 4 in the front, 4 in the back? Is that how?
Yeah, all we did, we took the same 476 Central,
Yeah,
made it 8.
you're right.
Yeah.
and you're just gonna keep one of those units for yourself and
That's exactly.
turn it into. Okay.
It's, what it is, it's come down to the difficulty in finding commercial space, which has
Yeah.
been discussed in the media and in this room, I'm sure. Finding commercial space that kind of fits the size we need. There isn't a lot out there, and some of you are my customers and have sold you things, and you've come and visited where I currently operate, and that for 2.5 years has been the only place we could operate. And I thought, well, if I can't find a place, I could,
Here's my own.
build one. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So Corey, this is on the front of the building, I take it, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
one of the corners?
Yeah,
or
it's that corner would be the corner facing Stretch Fitness, facing
Okay, okay.
Toyota.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, closest to the current parking lot.
Great. So, if this is as successful as you would like to see it, do you see expansion?
No.
Would we be losing?
No.
a
No,
unit?
oh, no,
Yeah,
no, no,
okay.
no, it's, no. And I say that knowing that I've grown everything I've tried to do for
Yeah.
25 years in business in this city, and this is it. This
Okay.
is my
No,
last.
and I just
yeah.
wanted to ask that
No,
question,
I'd never
'cause
take away housing.
Yeah.
It's not, no. I wouldn't want to take away the housing, and I
Right.
don't feel, I just think the way we're planning it will be more than enough. And
Yeah.
I just don't see it needing more or wanting more.
Sounds good.
Yeah, for the first time in my life, I'm scaling back a touch.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
the need for housing is.
For sure.
Is
Yeah.
something else, so I just didn't want to see, this exploding into another big business
No.
and
No,
moving,
none of
losing
that.
another unit. So
no, certainly not.
that's
No,
good.
it's not our intention at all. And that's a great concern. If, like, we have the building rented as
Yeah.
of today, and that's
That's
just an
awesome.
amazing feeling before we open.
Awesome.
And these are who we have not targeted, but who we were hoping for: seniors, widows, disability people, young. It's a couple young families, which is new for us. So we're excited on that side too, for
That's
sure.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you, congratulations.
I just talk really loud. Turn on Chuck's enormous so we get it on record. On there. Oh, there we go, we got it. I was just saying, it was just to Bruce's comment and to yours, I want to just maybe encourage you, if it was to expand, in theory, that would go back to 8th unit and your business would grow, right? So it's not the end of the world if you continue to grow a business in the city of
Yeah,
Summerside. So
for sure.
I just
Yeah.
want to encourage
Yeah,
you
no,
not to.
I understand the
not
balance
grow.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
okay.
Yep.
Any other further questions, comments for Corey or staff? No? Okay. Great, Corey.
Yep.
Appreciate it. And as Councillor Morrison said, the next step will be planning board meeting. I'm not sure if we have the next planning board meeting scheduled. I know we have one in August, but we may have one before that. I'm not sure. Yep, and that'll be our next step, and staff will do the review and make their recommendations. And we can get you that whenever the next meeting is. August 6th. Okay. Great. All right. Sorry, I'm catching up on my pages here. Moving on to item 6B, resolution COS 24-066, street naming off Foxland Court. This is also Councillor Morrison. Councillor?
Resolutions COS 24-066, moved by Councillor Morrison, second by Councillor Kerry Adams. Whereas the city of Summerside is designated municipality under the Emergency 911 Act. And whereas as a designated municipality is responsible to name a street, public or private, where the street serves 3 or more properties. And whereas the developer, Home Plus Real Estate Limited, wish to propose street names for streets A, B, and C, see map below, that are not on the approved street name list. The proposed names honor the Fox industry, The developer plans to establish some fox statuettes and indoor themed decorations in the subdivision so as to add fox features to the whole community. The names being suggested are all related to different fox species, common names or pronunciation in other languages, which will reflect cultural mixing and diversity. And whereas, as required by Schedule B, street naming policy of the city subdivision and site development bylaw SS-19, council shall approve or deny the recommendation or request by simple resolution based on 1, the recommendation of the street naming committee, 2, the conformance of the proposed name with this policy, and 3, any other considerations that council consider relevant. Be it resolved that council approve the following street names submitted by the developer. As per the street name policy, the suffix will be street. The official street name is, Walquist Street, Street A, Zorro Street, Street B, and Volpe Street, Street C. These private streets are located off Foxland Court. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting of July 2nd, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. Resolution COS 24-066, moved by Councillor Morrison, seconded by Councillor Adams, is now on the floor. Any comments, questions from council? Councillor Adams?
Can I just ask a quick question, Your Worship? Just the developer plans to establish some fox statuettes and indoor theme decorations in the subdivision. Is that outdoor theme decorations? Like what, I don't understand. What
I'm not sure. I'm not sure as to what the indoor-outdoor theme recommendations are, or what they may look like.
It was just, yeah,
I don't know
it
if
was
Gordon
just
has heard.
different, so I just thought I'd ask. Yeah, okay, I gotcha.
In Shediac, they have bike racks that are shaped as lobsters. So maybe there'll be something like that. I'm not exactly sure. That one didn't come to, this was just development officer approval for the project, is it, or is it still coming forward? Is there something still to come to council for that project? Yeah. That's approved, okay. Sorry, council, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, unless. Any, Councillor Cameron?
Yeah, more just a comment of one. I know last time we talked about this, I kind of pushed to go to a French name. I understand why we didn't have that one on the list. It sounds too much like other names. I do just love that we have a little bit more diversity in street names, and maybe that's something that we should be looking forward to in the future as well, to continue on doing. So just wanted to bring that one up.
Awesome, thank you, Councillor. And Zorro Street? Okay, anyway, I'm not gonna try that. It's kind of awesome. It's Woquist, I think, Rick, but we'll all figure it out. Any other further comments, questions from council? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of resolution COS 24-066, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution moved by Councillor Morrison, seconded by Councillor Adams, is carried by a unanimous vote of council. Next, we're on to resolution COS 24-067, Sunbank Tracker. This is going to be Councillor McDougall as the chair of Finance Committee. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I do have a resolution here for the new tractor with the Sunbank project. This proposed tractor will be used for landscaping, maintenance of the 80-acre property, and it'll be used as snow blowing, grass cutting, lifting pallets, front end bucket for dirt and gravel work. So it's they went out for tenders, and it came in well within the budget. So I do have a resolution here. Resolution COS 24-067, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Norman McColman. Whereas tenders were called for a 2024 Sunbank tractor with attachments, and whereas the City of Summerside received 2 tender bids in good order as follows. Good equipment, the cost of $192 $109,192.50, and Green Diamond come in at $99,236.04. Be it resolved that the City of Summerside awards the Sunbank tractor to Green Diamond Equipment for the value of $99,236.04.
Thank you, Councillor. Resolution COS 24-067, moved by Councillor McDougall, second by Councillor McCollum, is on the floor. Any comments, questions from members of council? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried unanimously. Moving on to Resolution COS 24-068, Councillor McDougall, back to you again as Chair of Finance.
Thank you, Your Worship. This resolution has to do with 591 Reed Drive. On May 14th, the Planning Board report came forward for 591 Reed Drive, and staff determined the cost sharing for portion A was reasonable and recommended cost sharing up to $106,999. For portion B, staff determined cost sharing was not a reasonable request. So on May 21st, resolutions for portion A and portion B were tabled until the agreement is reached with the city, the developer, and the province. June 17th, Planning Board and staff met with the province, who confirmed their 50% contribution for portion A. Planning Board recommended moving forward with a resolution for portion A. Planning Board defeated the recommendation for portion B. So on June 17th, a resolution for portion A and portion B was tabled until a firmer dollar figure could be determined. And so I have that resolution here tonight. So it's resolution COS 24-068, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Adams. Whereas an application for a major subdivision was received from 102454 PEI Inc. to subdivide property number 756825 into 3 lots. Lot 24-1, 24-2, and the remainder of property number 756825 in parcel R, public street. Lot 24-1 and lot 24-2 are intended for high-density residential R4 as shown on the preliminary plan of survey prepared by Lucas Surveys Limited. Titled Preliminary Plan of Survey showing lots 24-1 and 24-2 being a subdivision of lands of 102454 PEI Inc. Drawing number 23055-S01, dated May 2nd, 2024. And whereas Council granted preliminary subdivision approval for the subdivision noted above, and whereas 45 meters of the proposed street, portion A, is located on the provincial highway right-of-way and not on the developer's land, the developer is requesting a cost share of street portion A, 45 meters, requesting the province contribute 50% and the city contribute 25% and the developer contributes 25%. And whereas the project cost for portion A of the street would be $111,620, the requested city's cost share of 25% would be up to $28,000. Be it resolved that council contribute a cost share of up to $28,000 upon final subdivision approval. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting held on May 14th, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Resolution COS 24-068, moved by Councillor McDougall, seconded by Councillor Adams, is on the floor. Further comments, questions from council? Councillor Adams?
Thank you, Worship. So just a question so that the public is, has it straight. Part of this is being cost shared with the province because it's provincial infrastructure along Reed Drive. And the province has agreed to their share. We have
Yes.
that's in writing. And our money won't be released until, like, how does that work with the payment? Like, I don't want to get into a situation where, like, is there a written agreement with, like, everybody has signed, the 3 parties, or how does that go?
Yeah, I believe so, but I would refer to our CAO to.
Yeah, correct. It's all agreed to in writing, and the province is actually looking after this tender and the construction.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
excellent. Thank you.
Any other further comments, questions? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried unanimously. Thank you, Councillor Morrison, Councillor McDougall. With that, we'll move into item 7, department reports, and we will start 7A, finance, representative Councillor McDougall. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I do have a report here by our Director, Kristen Dunsford. Good evening to my colleagues in City Council and to businesses, residents of the city. Our external auditors, Grant Thornton LLP, will be on site starting in late July for our annual audit, and our 2023-24 audited financial statements will be presented to Council in late September as per Section 175(1) of the Municipal Government Act. They shall be filed with the Government of PEI no later than October 15th. Our preliminary results project a small surplus for 2023-24, and for 24-25 fiscal year, we will present first quarter, April 1st to June 30th, results with our August monthly report. The status of our utility accounts receivable as of July 10th, 2024 is as follows. Total overdue balance is $183,500 compared to $225,130 at June 13th, 2024. Approximately 20.8% or $38,100 of the overdue balance is greater than 60 days past due. And this compares with 14.4% as of June 13, 2024. Disconnections for non-payment are occurring, and we strongly encourage customers who have outstanding utility balances that are greater than 60 days to address their overdue balances. The table, I don't have to report that. A few reminders of our utility customers. A customer portal is available where you can review your account details, access your utility bills, and make payments by credit card or Visa. And please see our website at www.summerside.ca. A budget billing program which calculates a fixed monthly installment based on prior 12-month period is available for residential customers. The application form is available on our website. That's my report, and I thank you. Any questions? I'll be glad to try and answer them.
Thank you, Councillor. With that, we'll move into B, community services and tourism, representative Councillor Morrison. Councillor?
Community service. This report was done up by Director JP, and I'd like to thank him for that. Council report, June 2024, Community Services Department. Summerside Dome. The Summerside Dome has been a vibrant hub of activity, hosting numerous birthday parties and providing a valuable indoor space for sports groups, including baseball teams, to practice during inclement weather. Additionally, the Dome has been a popular destination for end-of-year class trips, offering students a memorable and enjoyable experience. Active Living, the 4th annual Shipwrights Run, was a major success, drawing over 170 participants to this popular event. The Some Fun Canteen has been opened and includes free programs at Laissez Park, which is open daily from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. until August 30th. Our indoor facilities have been bustling with activity, hosting numerous sporting events, volleyball clinics, and other community events. The Confederation Bridge Aquatic Center at Credit Union Place, the Sensory Swim program, had 17 participants this month, providing valuable support and confidence to those involved. Swimming registration began on June 15th, and there are still some spots available as of July 9th. Aquafit classes have been well attended, with around 300 participants benefiting from increased muscle strength and enhanced overall well-being. In the Convention Center, June was a busy month for our meeting and convention spaces, which were rented out 44 times. The Convention Center hosted the 2024 Three Oaks Senior High Prom and a 4-day conference by COP, the Integration, Francophonie, the PEI. I'm sure all my Acadian blood relatives will be happy how I read that. We also organized several day events focused on health, education, and sports sectors. The Atlantic Mayors Congress, a 3-day event, was extremely well attended by mayors and delegates from across PEI, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland. The month concluded with the Maritime Chiefs Conference, I think that's Fire Chiefs Conference, which included a large-scale trade show. The Ocean 100 box office at Credit Union Place. Preparations are underway for the 2024-25 Summerside Western Capital season, with a target on-sale date set for the first week of August. Initial planning has also begun for the Rivalry Series, with the on-sale date to be determined. And in the sets department, throughout June, we had multiple host committee meetings for the Noah Dobson Hockey Fest. The event, held from June 21st to 23rd, was a huge success, with 102 teams participating and high attendance throughout the 3 days. Additionally, we conducted host committee meetings to ensure everything is planned and ready for the 21U Baseball Nationals, which will take place at Queen Elizabeth Park from August 8th to 11th. Our Canada Day celebrations at Spinnaker's Landing were a great success, featuring performances by Shane Pendergast Duo, a Hearn Duo, Nathan Wiley, Brooke and Brad, the Ellis Family Band, and Ali Walker, and concluded with a spectacular fireworks display.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. Questions? Councillor McDougall?
No? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I didn't think you actually had a question. I just wanted to point out your light was on.
Oh, dodged a bullet.
Thank you, Councillor. Then move on to number C, Governance, HR, and Legal Services Representative, Councillor Cameron. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. It was another busy month for HR staff, with continued onboarding of summer students for Culture and Community Service Departments. A warm welcome to Kirk Johnson, who started as a new stores clerk with Municipal Services, to Brett Aiken, who joined the finance team as a temporary customer service representative, and Tessa Arsenault, who joined Community Services as a temporary ice maker. Brian and Michelle attended a national payroll conference in Halifax, attending numerous educational sessions and learning about some of the impacts that artificial intelligence is having on payroll and human resource processes. Over 90 employees took advantage of the city's annual offering of tickets to Shining Waters or Sandspit. This is the biggest uptake yet. Happy to be able to provide our employees access to family-focused fun. And the city employees have also been invited to enter a draw to win 2 tickets to one of the Charlottetown Festival productions. This opportunity was being generously provided by Key Murray Law, who are a sponsor of the festival. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Any questions? All right, hearing none.
I just have a
Yes,
quick
Councillor
question.
Adams, go. Ahead,
Sorry.
please.
I just wanted to quickly, and I should have spoken up during accolades and recognitions, but I wanted to recognize you, Councillor Cameron, for your Pride Walk. Very successful first Pride Walk yesterday. Yes, I'm on bad my days. Yesterday, I think it was quite a turnout. I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but congratulations. I know it took a lot of planning and effort on your part, so I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor? With that, we'll move on to item D, Municipal Services, and Councillor Morrison is going to read that report in tonight. Councillor?
Public Works, Water and Sewer Utilities highlights. The City of Summerside Public Works Department continues with hot asphalt road repairs this month and will be largely completed this month. The traffic markings efforts have moved forward to intersection markings, with parking spaces and parking lots being completed in August. All hazard sidewalk blocks have been replaced and driveway culverts are being repaired. There have been additions to traffic control efforts on Potter's Lane, speed signs, and Craig Avenue, traffic calming, for the community, and the installation of 4 speed humps throughout the community: Arcona Street, Kenmore, Willow Avenue, and Tanton Drive. Electric utility highlights. The month of June had Summerside Electric powered by local renewable energy from West Cape Wind, Summerside Solar, and Summerside Wind for 58.7% of the time. The wind turbines refurbishment of blades has been completed and the full farm is operation now. The new upgrade work on East Drive to accommodate development needs is underway and will be completed by the end of summer. The Harbor Terrace pole feeding the old PEI Bay Company has been removed, improving the downtown aesthetics. And this report was compiled by Director Greg Goody.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. Any questions from council?
Not
Councillor
a-
Chanel?
Not a question, more of a comment. I'd like to thank Greg and the staff for finally getting the pole removed from the bag company. It's something that a few residents in my ward had been asking for some time, and with all the busyness of everything else, it was taking probably a little bit longer than everyone hoped. So it's just, I know I received several messages the day it was removed, thanking us for getting it removed. So thank you to Greg from all the residents.
Thank you, Councillor. We'll move on to E, Arts, Culture and Diversity, Representative Councillor McCollum. Councillor McCollum?
Thank you, Your Worship, and good evening, councillor colleagues. I'd like to thank Director Laurie Ellis for preparing the public report for this evening. The following report captures some highlights of Culture Summerside's activity from the mid part of June to mid-July time period, beginning with Old Fashioned Carnival. The 2024 Old Fashioned Carnival was a very well-attended event. Comments were favorable. Families from all over Summerside and various parts of the island attended, and a big thank you to all who volunteered to make the event a success. Many from the Mayor's Congress also appeared to enjoy the event. The Summerside Lobster Carnival just finished this weekend, and the 68th Summerside Lobster Carnival, as indicated, was from July 11th to the 13th. There's more off-island, or there was more off-island pre-sales of lobster suppers than ever before, and we look forward to that delivery of the 2024 edition, which I would confidently say that it went very well for the staff and all of the visitors and guests. The Bishop Machine Shop Museum. The foundation for the Bishop Machine Shop has been poured. The forms are now being removed. Insulation is being added, and foundation backfill. The foundation now cures for a few weeks, and then we will proceed in moving the building. The packing of the collection will happen after Lobster Carnival. In the area of museums, our history, cultural, and interpretive centers are open for the summer. Concerts in the garden, weekly concerts in the garden are underway on Wednesday evenings, and there's usually strawberries and ice cream, well attended usually by seniors and visitors. Summerside Arts Festival, Summerside Pride Walk, and Community Barbecue in Diverse City has all pretty well taken place, and some are now being prepared for the Arts Festival. And I do want to thank Councillor Nick Cameron, just as Councillor Carey has, and I'll defer the item on the Pride Walk to him, because I know that you were very involved in putting that together. So if you have anything to add, I'll just concede my comments so that you can. And in closing, I just wanted to just say that it has been a very, very busy, active week to 2 weeks in all of those preparations with Canada Day and the Carnival. And I think we've been pretty busy trying to cover all the bases. But anyway, it's nice to see for the weather and summer. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councillor McCollum. Councillor Cameron?
Yeah, I just wanted to, first of all, thank both of you for acknowledging the Pride Walk. It was the first one that the city has ever hosted, so it's kind of moving in the right direction for inclusivity and diversity within our city. But it may have been my idea, and it may have been something that I wanted, but without Culture Summerside, the event never would have happened. They took on the event knowing that they were going to be tearing down everything from the Lobster Carnival until 2 a.m. Lori and Marlene were there the next day. I got there at 9:45. They were already there getting things ready. So really, without them, this event never would have happened, and it is all thanks to them that it did happen. So the 100 or so people that showed up yesterday for the walk really have them to thank. I am just the face of the event. They did everything else.
Thank you, Councillor. And it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was great. Next one is technical services. Councillor Duran is not here tonight, so does that someone want to read it in, or do we want to just, it is in the package? It's in the package. It's in the package, folks. We're still building lots of stuff in Summerside. That's the summary, which is good. Yeah, and great to see more commercial projects as well as residential projects. If anyone has any questions on that, they can follow up with Councillor Duran. Economic Development and Growth, Representative Deputy Mayor Snow. Deputy?
Thank you, Your Worship. The following is a brief update from the Office of Economic Development. Summerside Exchange Accelerator, reducing new product risk for small businesses. Our mission at Summerside Exchange is to anchor, support, and accelerate companies through a combination of mentoring and a program support to help them grow in our community. The exchange is uniquely based on providing real-life testing and experimentation environments in which companies, researchers, and developers work directly with us here at the community of Summerside and its infrastructure to advance product testing, development, and integration into real-world setting. This month, we have been working with several pilot clients to advance our clean tech projects, including a waste heat project at Credit Union Place and an opportunity with our electric utility. The office is working on a new Summerside Challenges for 2024 and found an opportunity to support our electric department's ambitions to install a virtual power plant to manage and control our multiple energy systems into one centralized system. Our labor campaign recently launched is starting to reach larger audiences as we look to help our local business fill their labor needs. Recently, Blue Wave AI, located in our downtown, has hired 2 AI specialists to help further grow their product offerings and footprint here in Summerside. The office is continuing to field investment requests, client support, and marketing awareness opportunities for development, growth, and diversifying our economy. That is the report from the Department of Economic Development.
Thank you, Deputy Snow. Any comments, questions from council? Here none, we'll move on to the last item, 7H, Emergency Services and Communications, Representative Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Your Worship. Okay, and the first report would be from Summerside Police Services, and thank you to Deputy Chief Jason Black here. Constable Dyer represented the police service at the 911 Ride Atlantic in Miramichi, New Brunswick. It's a 3-day event, an annual police escorted motorcycle ride to support families of fallen first responders. On June 12th, Constables Burke and Dyer hosted 4 students from Elm Street for lunch at McDonald's. They had a tour of Summerside Police Service, a forensic identification demonstration by Corporal McLeod, and a ride in a police car. Chief Walker and Sergeant Korish attended Special Olympics fundraising dinner. Constables Noonan and Darash attended the Atlantic Police Academy to become certified pistol and carbine instructors. Constables Noonan and McDonald certified as use of force instructors and CEW instructors. I don't know what CEW means, but we can find that out. Constable Matheson began her new role as the SPS liaison officer with Crime Stoppers. That's all I have for that, and I'll just keep going right into fire services. And this is compiled by Ken Culleton. During the month of June, firefighters responded to 40 calls. Just a quick breakdown, 8 of those were medical first responder calls, 31 were silent alarms, and 1 was a general alarm. It was a very busy month all around at Summerside Fire. Along with the call volume being up, training hours were also extremely high because of new equipment arriving, hose testing, and firefighter school, all happening during the month. 1,092 hours were spent training during this 30-day period. And Summerside recently hosted a prestigious 3-day event, the Atlantic Fire Leadership Conference, held at Credit Union Place. The event brought together approximately 100 fire chiefs and their spouses from across the region. That's all I have, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. Any questions, comments from members of council? Hi, Councillor. Councillor Duran is here. I guess with that, we will adjourn our meeting, and it is 7:59. I was hoping we'd be done by 8 o'clock. So have a lovely evening, everyone, and a wonderful rest of your week.